What is up, Frugalnauts? Welcome back to FrugalBC, the show where we try to bring you the truth in crypto. And part of that, of course, is our Algorand DeFi experiment. And now also adding HBAR to the mix. So we got HBAR and Algorand. Very important show today because this is our 6 months. And actually, we missed 6 months last month. Last week should have been 6 months, and my internet was completely destroyed. And there we go, back up. Internet was completely destroyed, and I had no internet all Labor Day weekend, which was really a bummer because it cut off the live stream, it cut off this, and it was kind of frustrating. So welcome to everybody on YouTube and everybody on Kick. I hope you're watching on either one of those. Welcome to the show. We're going to go through the latest updates. Like I said, after this, I think I'm going to start doing these monthly, but I'm probably going to keep track of it weekly. Yeah, it really brings it home how dependent you are on the internet, because I pretty much couldn't do anything all weekend. I had to go to I got a couple videos out that were pre-recorded, and I just had to go upload them, edit them, and upload them, and I was able to do that at my sister's house. But otherwise, I just had no access to the internet. But enough of that. Let's look at the charts, and then we're going to go through some of the stuff that happened. Hold on a second. Okay, so here is our weekly chart, and not a lot happened except for Tiny Man. We will get into that. And just to explain our experiment to anyone who isn't familiar with this, we started in March, so about just a little over 6 months ago, and we put $100 into 3 different Algorand DeFi platforms. 2 of them have since changed because one was Algo Stake, and that went under. That was replaced with with Folks Finance, and that's why the number is so low, but it's gone down more since then with the price of Algorand. Folks Finance is simply Algorand staked on Folks Finance. Probably actually would have been better if I had done US dollar coin. It would be gaining right now, and that is a really easy way to earn like 6%, by the way, or whatever it is. It was 6% last I checked. Also, you're going to see Bitcoin and Algorand on there, and those are basically control groups. And I just figured out how many Algorand was $100 worth of Algorand, and seeing how that's changed over time. It happened to be 466. And with Bitcoin, I put in 100, that was 0.00375 Bitcoin was $100. And that has been one of the ones that moved up a lot. So interesting where we are now. Actually, every single thing is under $100 right now. True sign of a bear market, that every single thing is down, including Bitcoin, including even our saucer swap, which had been growing quite well since we added that in July. It's been over a month. Amazing. Yeah, Tiny Man shot up quite a bit. I'm not sure why, to be honest. I have no sense of like why that one would have grown when everything else was going down, because that is Algorand and USDC pair, and we wouldn't have gained that much from simply the staking platform itself. So I'm not sure where the gains came from, because obviously Algorand's been going down, and US dollar coin is of course always worth $1. So I don't know why that one went up. I looked into it. I can't figure it out. If any of you guys have any ideas, please leave it in the chat. Let me know. Also, in case you're wondering why I'm doing this as a live stream, and I might actually just do these as a live stream from now on, to be honest, because my normal platform isn't working, and I haven't had a time to mess around with it. But actually, I kind of like doing this as a live stream anyway. I think it attracts more interest. It's kind of interesting just to do them live. So we might just keep doing it that way. Like I said, from now on, this is going to be our September post, and then I think we're just going to post monthly. I just don't know that enough happens week to week to really warrant doing a weekly breakdown like this. And yeah, so that's how it's been going now. Cometa's down a little bit, and I almost had hit $100 again. Now, one thing, well, I'll talk about that when I talk about the 6 months, but I'll say a lot of these were doing a lot better earlier in the year, and we'll get into that more earlier on. But yeah, otherwise, everything else is pretty much down. There's just not much to say. Even our saucer swap, I mean, HBAR went down to below 5 cents, which I haven't seen it there in a while. And so I think there's a lot of buying opportunities in crypto right now, if you believe that the cycle is going to continue as it has. And if it doesn't, well, I don't know what to say. There's a chance it won't. And this is why I don't put in crypto, but portfolio has a lot of potential upside. But by keeping my investments to a certain minimum, that decreases my downside, making it very much an asymmetrical upside investment. If you haven't read Naleb's book on and being anti-fragile, you should definitely check that out. So that's it for this. Let's look at. I want to go back. I have my data all the way going back to the very first week. The very first week was that we had a full week, by the way, was March 24th. Cometa, which started at went up to $104. Any best track now that I can see this. Let's see. Were we in Kitsune for a while? Oh no, we did some staking. Yeah, that actually went down to 97 at one point. Yeah, it was up to 104. Algo stake was at 104. Humble and Algo stake, by the way, are not even in anymore. Humble just simply, it had a good pool, and then the pool that I was interested in disappeared, and I didn't like any of the other ones. And we will get to Lofty too. I got some stuff to talk about Lofty, so we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm just trying to see like what. So about a month in, we already saw things. Yeah, we yeah. So April 28th, by the way, this is where by then things started to fall apart. Cometa had been down in the 90s. Tiny Man was in the 90s. We'd already swapped Humble for Man. And Algo stake was at 1550. And I didn't know what to do with it for a while. I just left it alone. I'd taken the 1550 out and sold it, but I didn't put it into anything. We had 10 prop Lofty, and the total rent was like 12 cents. So we're way above that right now, by the way. And we'll get to that. And the $100 of it, 84.77. So it was already down, which sucks, but is not surprising. Who's been following along with Algorand. Bitcoin was 109.38. So our Bitcoin investment had gone up about 10%. Let's see. And we were keeping track of Cometa or Cosmos as well, but I'm just not going to talk about that. How about the end of the month in May? Yeah, last week in May, Cometa was down to already 55.68. Tiny Man was down to 84. Algo staked on Folks Finance at 12.83. We were only making 6 cents on Lofty, and we had 14 properties not paying. So that was the most that we had. And why 466 Algo is now worth $70. And Bitcoin was back at 100, just a little over 100. Now, if we fast forward to June, how were we in June? The end of June. The end of June was probably one of the worst, honestly. Tiny Man Cometa was below $50 and had eked back up to almost 60. So the worst week was actually the week before the end of June. Tiny Man at 82 had raised up from 78. So Tiny Man had never dropped as much as a lot of these other coins because I was using Algo USD and it's just USDC, and that stays pretty stable. I was making a total of 6 cents in rent on Lofty, which is where it stayed for a while until I started buying some better properties. And our $100 of algo is now worth 55, whereas our $100 of Bitcoin was 112. Let's see. Now, the end of July, last was a Cometa. This is where, and you can see it right in the chart. Our Cometa was almost back to $100. Tiny Man, not so much. Tiny Man was actually lower than it is now. So there's a lot of fluctuation in these. This was the reason I did this experiment that way, because there would be so much luck in this stuff. It was crazy. And there was no way to like really track how your investments were doing. Like, yeah, you're gaining all this APR, but because the underlying asset is so volatile, my suspicion was that a lot of times you're actually losing even though you think you're actually gaining. And based on my experiment, that is the case. Not always, obviously, but sometimes it's the case. Sometimes you'd just be better holding, say, Bitcoin. On the other hand, you never would be better off buying algo. That's super interesting. In fact, this is what's interesting about this. At no point were you better in the charts, were you better off buying Algorand than being in DeFi? And super weird and was super surprising to me through the 6 months. I expected that having just buying algo as a control group would be different. So in a lot of ways, you're actually better off being in these DeFi platforms. There's some caveats. You're almost better off these DeFi platforms than you are just buying algo. You would actually be up. I'm actually on everything compared to algo. I'm down overall on everything right now. Completely down. Nothing is worth $100 right now. That is experiment. But as you've seen from the chart, and has been pretty much the case throughout this entire experiment, almost all my DeFi projects have been worth more than just the $100 in algo that we set as a control group, but almost never above Bitcoin. That is very interesting. I'm not sure what to make with that. That requires some more digestion. But that's why I really want to do this 6-month review, even though it's a week late, because I think those are really important insights. Now, of course, the exception was algo stake, which was very interesting because I thought algo stake was one of the safest options because, well, the coins all stay in your wallet. However, I made an enormous mistake by investing in the algo stake coin itself, because what happens, algo stake goes away as a platform. Well, the coin's basically worthless, and it went from, in a very short time, it was worth like $130 at one point, and then my stake, that same amount later, was worth 15 when I pulled it out. And that was one of those scenarios. There's no point in holding the coin. It's just going to get worse and worse and disappear. Kind of like if you have Anorand, like that's, if the underlying project is gone, that ASA never coming back. You might as well consider it a loss, take your loss, and that's it. Invest it in something else. So I put it into Folks Finance, and it kept going down. But that's algo stake, and that's part of our experiment that I didn't expect. I didn't anticipate like the entire platforms that I was invested in would disappear. We've seen a lot of AlgoFi, which I was not using. That one's gone. I believe it went to open source now. And Humble we got out of just because I didn't like any of the coin pairings. But honestly, yeah, if you do, so one of the lessons here, I think, is that if you do a DeFi experiment, you definitely, if you do want to invest in DeFi, pick something with a lot of popularity and still expect it to be volatile. One of the nice things about the Cometa algo pair is that they keep reissuing it. So even if it runs out and you're down, you can invest back in and not lose your place. Because otherwise, if you've got a pair and you have to, the DeFi project ends and you're way down, you're kind of stuck with it. There's not much you can do unless you want to hold on to it, hoping at some point another pool pulls up where you can get back in and hopefully recover, or you just hold on to the coin until it, increases in value again. You could do that as well. But there's not much point to that otherwise. It's one of the dangers of DeFi that nobody talks about. That's the whole reason I did this experiment, is because there are real dangers here, and you have to be really careful with this stuff. Okay, well, let's talk about Lofty. So let me pull up. By the way, I have had very mixed feelings about Lofty, because on the one hand, I love what they're doing. It used to work really, really great. You know what? I'm gonna have to. Maybe I should actually. But it's kind of a mandatory login. That is not incorrect. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna have to tell you. I'm just gonna have to tell you about it this week. So I bought two more Jackson Avenue properties, and there was an issue. I finally finished buying them today, because if you buy with an external wallet, there is a bug that might cause the transaction not to go through, and they have to do the refund manually. So the smart contract is like down right now for that, and it's really annoying. You have to reach out to them and say, "Hey, I bought Lofty tokens. It didn't work. It didn't refund my money." And there's no message about this. Like, just make a message on there. Put it on your. They put it on Discord, and I'm really, really sick. By the way, I'm really sick of people treating Discord as a primary communication platform, because most of your customers aren't on there. You have to put it on the platform itself. And for sure, during that process, a little window should pop up that say, "Hey, this might happen if you don't, send us an email." I'm just so frustrated, like, dude, because I think Jerry from Lofty was like, "Didn't you see the announcements page?" No, I'm not on Discord that often. Like, I have a full time job and two side businesses, so no, I don't have time to like look at your Discord every day. That's not going to happen, and I think that's probably the case for a lot of people. So anyway, enough about my rant. But how's it actually doing? Let's see here. I'm gonna go back to my chart here. So still 13 properties not paying, by the way, but that's less of a problem because I've started investing in ones that are a little more solid. This Jackson Avenue one is great. The McDonald's one is perfect. The Jackson Avenue one pays much, much higher cash on cash return. So I've been enjoying that one a lot. Total daily rent now is 21 cents. And you heard how bad it was in the past, where it was down to like 6 cents. It was as high as 40 some cents at one point. So we're still down quite a bit. Let's not mistake it. But the Jackson Avenue one has 10 units. So the idea that it's just going to be paying zero is much less likely. And the McDonald's one is a triple net commercial property with like three well-known solid businesses that are earning money and paying rent. So those are going to be, and those are long-term contracts. So I'll buy those all day long. I'm a big fan of those. I would do that in real life if I could. But here's the cool thing about Lofty: if it's not paying a little bit, it's like kind of a bummer. Imagine if I put all the money into buying those actual rental properties and then they weren't paying rent. Like, I'd just be losing money like crazy. In this case, I'm not actually losing money because I don't have a mortgage. I'm just buying what I can afford and earning some rent on top of it. Pretty cool. Overall, I'm still earning like 9% on returns on it. So overall, now that's not just cash on cash. That's also property appreciation. But like, that's not bad in a bear market where stocks are, not kind of in a strange land right now. And then of course crypto is down like crazy. It's nice to have something where you're earning some decent returns. So that is Lofty. And but yeah, I love what Lofty does. I think they have a great idea. They've executed reasonably well, but I'm very concerned about bugs like that and the communication, which is something I harp on. I've harped on this forever, so it's new. crypto guys, you gotta get better at communication. If you're people, especially in crypto, because rug pulls are so common. And plus, it's just an issue overall. People are just in crypto just are generally bad at communicating. If you have to take a break for some reason, and I said this when Alchemon took a break, or kind of wound down a little bit. It's like it's fine. If you got to take a break, you got personal issues, okay, we get it, but you got to tell people, and you can't wait for months. You got to tell people right away, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. Even if it's like I don't know what's going to happen, you got to be upfront with people. You got to be transparent, because there's just so many scams in crypto that the first time, as soon as someone goes quiet, people always think you're shutting down or you're rug pulling. It's the first place people go. Why? Because it's happened a million times. It's happened a lot. So you gotta let people know. You got to communicate. That's my little soapbox for this, but yeah, I think these are the lessons that we learned from our crypto experiment with 6 months. I'm really curious what it's going to be like in a year, if we're in a bull market by then, which, I mean, hopefully we started to turn things around. It'll be interesting to see how the experiments do compared to the control groups when things are going well. Because when things are going badly, we've seen that, weirdly enough, your Bitcoin was your best investment out of all of these. Bitcoin was top, and I have been putting money into Bitcoin. I'm not an algo maxi by any means. In fact, I've got money in quite a few different coins, and I've talked about that on here a lot. I still think that's your best bet, because you should, I think, in my opinion, you should think about crypto like startups. You're going to invest in 20 of them, and maybe four, maybe even fewer are unicorns. Say like 8 do really well, and then 1 or 2 are like absolute unicorns where they take off like 100x. So you gotta kind of invest broadly, and most of them are going to go up at least a little in the bull market. So it's not like you're probably going to lose money. Some might not. I think the ones that haven't washed out yet are probably going to be okay, but you never know, and you never know if we're really going to have a bull run. I like to think we will. I think that's likely. It's the pattern that it's followed since the start of Bitcoin. There's been this halving cycle, and the bull and bear runs kind of, there's like a mini bull before the halving and a big bull afterwards. That's typically what's happened, but we've also seen a truncated cycle the last time. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm betting on it happening, but I'm betting an amount that I can afford to lose, and that's still my stance. That I think the amount you put into crypto should be an amount that maybe stings a little, but doesn't wreck you. It shouldn't wreck you. It should hurt a little bit. I don't think you're investing enough if it doesn't hurt a little bit. Also, practice good risk management. When you see it pumping and you have a chance to take some profits, you ought to take some profits. Even if you sacrifice some potential gain, safety is important. So when you're way up, you definitely got to take some profits, create some moon bags, so that then it's all to the good. You really have no downside. Like my Shiba Inu bag, it can go to zero and I've lost nothing. I've still gained because I took out my initial investment plus a little extra during a huge pump of Shiba. That's what you got to do. That's how you win in this game. That's the people who have made money in crypto. That's typically what they do. They're smart about risk management and taking out profits when they have the opportunity. We haven't had the opportunity for a while. This has been buying territory. This is like where you have to have some guts and buy when everybody is like super duper down on crypto. That's when you make the money. You don't make the money when it's taking off. It's too late then. That's when, if you already have it, that's when you make your money, because that's when you sell off. And I wouldn't sell it all, but I would sell an increment. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to sell off in increments and take profit along the way. So even if it increases a lot, I will miss out on some. I'd rather miss out but take my profits than have it go back and crash and lose everything. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of this. Has been 6 months of this experiment. I thought it was really fun to do. It's really interesting, and I feel like even though these videos haven't been my most popular videos, I think they're my most important, because they're forwarding the mission that I'm trying to focus on with this channel. Like, I really want to bring truth to crypto, and I want to bring an experimenter's spirit. And that's what I've been doing from day one. It's like I try stuff out, I'll let you know how it goes, whether it's good, bad, etc. That's always been the point of this channel. And so this crypto experiment that I've done now for 6 months is a big part of that. So like I said, I am going to be keeping track weekly, but I'm only going to update at the probably the first Friday of the new month. So expect one again in October. I might do a halfway one for channel members. I'm not sure yet. That's kind of tricky, so we'll talk about that. But keep an eye on it. By the way, and I did not mention them earlier, but I'm going to mention them now. Thanks so much to non-fungible domains. They are a sponsor. There's a link below where you can get your own non-fungible domain. Now, what is non-fungible domains? That is a company that gives you those .algo addresses at the end of in place of your address. So it actually functions as your crypto address for your Algorand wallet. So way easier to remember when I tell people my address, I can just say FrugalBC.algo, which you can see down below. So thanks so much, you guys, for that, as well as thank you to Taco Coin. Taco Coin is sponsoring this channel as well as NFT, and I appreciate both of them. And Taco Coin is kind of cool because it's supporting a real taco truck in Iowa. I think I can say that where it is. And so people who go to Dora's Taco Truck in Iowa, you can actually use Taco Coin to pay for your tacos, and you get a discount. So they are a sponsor to the channel, as well as NFT. And I thanks so much to non-fungible domains and Taco Coin for sponsoring the channel. And I think that's it for us. But thanks so much for tuning in. This will be available on Restream, so you can see the whole crypto experiment, our whole Algorand and now Hedera experiment on there. I'm looking forward to seeing the next 6 months brings. I think it'll be really interesting to see how it goes. So, all right, thanks so much, guys. I'm FrugalBC, and I will see you